Hey, Steve here at Silk Road Catalyst. In 1999, I was attending a conference with my dad. On the last day and before he left, he said something that I considered out in left field. He said, "You need to travel somewhere and experience a different culture. It'll be good for you." Well, I wasn't too keen on his recommendation, so I conjured up more than enough excuses to change the subject. My excuses had nothing to do with God's heart for the nations, but my refusal to step out of my comfort zone, be inconvenienced for a brief time, and well, for me, eat strange foods. It was completely self-centered. Now, the next morning was Sunday. I lived just 5 minutes from church, and I remember it like it was yesterday, because I know exactly where I was when it happened. I can picture it clearly as I share this on Park Row in Pantego, Texas. God said, "Go to China." Where did that come from? I have no idea. Like I said, my dad challenged me the night before to do just that, or something like that. But I had zero interest. But there I was, driving to church, knowing without a doubt that God wanted me to go to China. In that moment, it wasn't about moving to China, but going with my church on their next mission trip. So as I walked in the church, I told the college pastor what happened, and he beamed from ear to ear, partly because he has been trying to get me to go for a long time. Let's face it, at the time, I hated rice, much less eating American Chinese food. So how was I going to survive in China? Well, I ended up losing 26 pounds during those 6 weeks in China, but that's another story. So back to the real one. That experience in China, that experience my dad said I should have, changed my life radically. Now, I didn't go to end up doing what I'm doing today. I went because I was afraid to say no to God. I understand that my experience is not what most people experience, so why am I sharing it? My dad's recommendation remains a good one today for you. Whether that leads you to China, India, Jordan, or a Native American reservation in the United States, going to a place to serve God, being the minority in a culture and community, learning from believers in those contexts while also learning how God is moving in a place radically different from your own is a great experience. But it's more than an experience. It's about expanding your view of God and how He views the world. I believe it's a must-have experience for most believers. But be aware, because there are consequences you may not anticipate. For example, God may enlarge your heart and vision for the nations, because His heart is to be worshiped by all people. So you may end up gaining an enlarged heart for people radically different from yourself, a heart that you cannot shake even if you try. Second, your understanding of how God works and moves will begin to be challenged. Yes, maybe even shaken to some degree, as it was for me. But shaken is not a bad thing. I'm not talking about changing core theology, but how you view Christianity on a global scale. By the way, for us Americans, we are the minority in the global church, not the rule of thumb for all to mimic. And finally, you may discover that once you return home, you simply cannot inch back into your pre-trip normality after having your whole being rocked by God. I've seen this effect over and over and over again. The effects of visiting radically different cultures from one's own has a life-altering effect on people. For me, it led me to where I am today, serving as president of Silk Road Catalyst. For others, they change how they give to prioritize giving to nations, to the missionaries, and to their church. And for others, they serve on the mission field, like we did as a family as part of our journey. Regardless of what one's involvement looks like, few can return home from an experience like I just outlined, ignoring what God did through and around them. If you can, I feel for you. I'll see you next time.